Good afternoon, this is Justin G8YTZ for another little video blog on the BMW i3. What I thought to do today, as we just travelling through Blackheath village, what we'd do today is talk about charging again, because since I did my last YouTube blog, there's been actually some quite important changes and improvements in the charging infrastructure. What we're first going to do is go down to Greenwich and look at one of the new Source London charging points. Last time I pointed out a lot of faults on charging points and issues. Well, I'm glad to say that Source London are actually now rolling out a new kind of charger that looks to be very good. I haven't used one yet. I had a look on the website and couldn't find any instructions to use, but I think we'll work it out when we get there. The other thing that's happened is the Office for Low Emission Vehicles, OLEV, have issued a number of grants to councils to install charging infrastructure. And a grant of £125,000 was picked up by Dartford Council, Kent County Council, and installed in Dartford Town Centre in a car park there, the Westgate car park in fact. There are three DBT chargers, very similar to the chargers that Ecotricity put in on the motorway service stations, and they're triple standard, these new type of chargers, so AC and CHAdeMO and CCS all in one. And I had the pleasure of using that charger a couple of weeks ago, and we'll go and visit that charger later as well to give an update on what's happening there. So just coming off Blackheath now. For those who know, this is the area where London Marathon starts every year. It's a rather nice bit of southeast London. I always think it's South London's Islington, Blackheath, but it's a very pleasant green area of South London. Anyway, talk again soon. Well, we're just approaching the charging station that we mentioned, and up ahead we can see on the left two white posts, the brand new type that have been put in by Source London. So let's pull up and see what we've got. So these are new charging stations that Source London are putting in all around London. They're replacing the previous PodPoint and ChargeMaster stations, which from my earlier video you've probably seen how difficult they were to use. This looks like it's going to be a bit of a dream. But firstly, a little conversation about the various charging cards and access to these networks. Source London's free. You pay, I think it's £20 a year for the actual card, but it's free at the minute. The card you need is this one, which you can get by applying to Source London online. I'll say something about other cards as well. I've got a bit of a collection here. Another useful one to have is Charge Your Car. The charging station we're going to look at later is in Dartford, and that's a CYC. CYC's all over the Midlands and all over the place, so it's well worth having CYCs. And they have a lot of high-speed chargers, rapid chargers as well. The other one, of course, as I previously mentioned, is the Ecotricity charger. That's the electric highway. You'll find Ecotricity stations at IKEA stores and also at all the motorway service stations around the country. They're the ones to have. There are other ones. There's PodPoint and there's Charge Now BMW. To be honest, the BMW Charge Now is a bit of a waste of time. It charges you a lot of money to use it, and frankly, I haven't found a single charging station that you can't use the other chargers at and have it for free. The PodPoint one is interesting because they've actually changed the system now. I don't think this card is relevant anymore. But what PodPoint do is you get a 15-minute free charge. So you plug the car in, it starts charging straight away, and then you can authenticate and pay for a charge on top of that. And you do that through an iPhone or an Android app. So that's pretty straightforward, but they give you the first 15 minutes free to give you time to authenticate rather than wasting time messing around. And also their policy is if there's any problem with your authentication, it defaults to allow you to charge for free. So that's, well done PodPoint as well with your new app. I think it's a great move forward as well. But certainly these are the three physical cards you should get: Source London, Charge Your Car and Ecotricity. If anybody knows of any more that are useful to have, let me know in the comments below. I've not used one of these before, but they look very smart. There's a lovely 6-inch display. It says tap here, and okay, nothing much when I tap, but let's try putting the charge there. charge card there. Oh, it's authenticating us. And hey, it's welcomed me personally. And it's got a captive cable as well. So let's pull the cable out. Pull a nice long cable as well. Even that the i3 has the charge point on the driver's side. There might be a problem here. Oh dear. Different type of connector. I know what this problem is. This is the Gene Hackman problem. It's the French connection. Source London is run by a French company and they've put French charging points in with French connectors. Oh. Anyway, all is not lost. Because actually someone's been thinking, and there's actually a standard Menikes connector here as well, which we can use with our charging lead. So, go and get the charging lead. So, standard Type 2 charging lead here. Into the car. Into the charging point. Cable connected, it says. Yep, cable connected. And the car's charging. I've just checked, and it's absolutely charging. Well, what can I say? That is rather simpler than the old ChargeMaster and PodPoint chargers that have gone in London previously. This is actually pretty simple. There was also displayed here a rather nice graphic of London. It welcomed me personally, identified me personally, and gave me plenty of time to plug the car in and get the cable out of the boot before I connected without it timing out. Actually, I rather like this. Just the French connection. We're just leaving Greenwich now from Horsefree Place with a successful little charge. We're going to go on our way to Dartford now and look at the new high-speed chargers that have been installed by Kent County Council and Dartford Town Council at the Westgate car park. We're just, for those of you who don't know, just driving through the centre of Greenwich, and the Royal Naval College is right ahead of us. So we're going to pop out on Trafalgar Road and out onto the A102 and the A2 up to Dartford. Well, we're driving along the A102 now towards Dartford. Glad to say it's free-flowing traffic, and I'm going to put the destination in. Now, I have visited this charger before, so on the i3 that should be in the last destinations memory of the navigation, but actually the i3 has a little bit of a trick up its sleeve in terms of charging stations. Can you actually search for last charging stations? So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Now, to do that, it's quite simple. You use the voice control. This is how you do it. Last charging stations.
Last charging stations. Please say the number of the entry you want.
4.
Did you say entry 4?
Yes.
Start guidance or add as another destination.
Start guidance.
Guidance started.
And there you have it. It's as simple as that. Now, as we're on the way to Dartford and we're on the A102, I'm going to demonstrate the cruise control system. So I'm going to set the cruise control by switching it on, bottom left-hand button. Set the speed to 50 miles an hour, which is the speed limit along this section of road. I'm also going to press the traffic jam assist mode, which it says often it's only for motorways, but actually A roads also count on this. So it's accepted traffic jam assist mode as well, as this is an A road, and actually it leads into a motorway, so that seems to be the criteria. So the car at the minute, I don't know if you can see on the dashboard display up here, you can see a car that's saying it's seen a car in front. And the vehicle is now tracking the car in front. It's not steering, but it's keeping a constant distance. I got the distance set to about 3 seconds, which is about a little bit more than the highway code suggests. The highway code suggests a 2-second rule. I tend to prefer to go for a 3-second rule myself. Now, if the traffic slows down below 35 miles an hour, then traffic jam assist mode is operational, and traffic jam assist mode does a couple of things. The first thing it does is actually sit down and be a little bit more cautious and aware of traffic slowing and starting. The other thing it does is to self-steer the car, a bit like with Tesla version 7 software, but up to 35 miles an hour. And you can't take your hands off the steering wheel. It doesn't let you do that. It tells you to put your hands back on the steering wheel. It's got a capacitive sensor to detect your hands are on the wheel. But it does actually self-steer for you. And in fact, if you want to try it out, you can just hold the steering wheel so your palms are touching it, so it thinks you're holding the steering wheel, and you'll feel it steer for you. And when the traffic speed gets above 35 miles an hour, it then warns you that it's going to let go and hand control back to you. And the little car legend turns red and it flashes the steering wheel icon as well. Works very well. I really, really like it. In fact, I love this whole automatic cruise control. Now, there are a couple of foibles with it, and there's two that I've noticed, which I will mention. The first foible is that there's actually 3 foibles I can think of. The first foible is that actually some vehicles are not recognised as vehicles, and there's only one real vehicle that's a problem, and that's ambulances. The back of an ambulance with all its yellow and red flashing, etc., it doesn't pick up as a vehicle. I think it picks it up as a sign in the road or something, and it'll carry on. The camera will see that and not recognise it as a vehicle. So just occasionally you have to disengage the cruise control to take account for that. The other slight issue is because it's a camera-based cruise control, if the sun is low in the sky and beaming into your eyes, it's also beaming into the camera, and the camera will get blinded, and then the system will say cruise control cannot be used, and it'll hand control back to you. When it does that, it's quite sudden actually. It suddenly takes the power off and goes into full regenerative braking mode. So do have your right foot near to the throttle to take over again. So they're the main real foibles, but it's very capable, this cruise control, of tracking cars around bends and all this sort of thing. It really is very good, but there's just a couple of little foibles with it, which you should be aware of if you're using it. The other thing I'll just mention is when you're in traffic jam assist mode, below 35 miles an hour, when the traffic typically on the motorway gets to above 35 miles per hour, there's a bit of a delay before it decides, okay, I'm going to hand control back to the non-traffic jam assist mode cruise control. And when it does that, there's a bit of a delay. Now, there's a way of overriding that. So if you just hit the resume button when it's got to 35 miles an hour and starting to flash the steering wheel and think about it, press the resume and it will automatically resume the previous mode. So worth bearing in mind. Another little thing just to mention is, remember, these systems are not predictive, they are reactive. As a human, you will predict a vehicle might be going to move into your lane or cut in front of you. You might be able to predict that Ferrari is probably going to move away from you pretty quickly, but that Nissan Micra, nothing against Nissan Micras, but that Nissan Micra is probably going to be going slower than you are. That's the sort of reading the road only a human can do. These autonomous systems or semi-autonomous systems cannot do that. And I will say, if you've got a situation where lots of traffic is merging or cutting across and changing lanes, best to use the Mark 1 human being version 1.0 software, as it tends to be more reliable. Just approaching the 70 mile an hour speed limit now, so we'll step the cruise control up to 70. for a couple of seconds as we're going to leave at this junction. So I'm going to flip the cruise control off completely, and here we are, and let's take the first exit and wind ourselves into Dartford town centre. Nice bit of dual carriageway here, good for a fast getaway.
Now turn left onto A2018.
That's all redemptive braking. We've crept up to this junction without using the brake at all, and put our foot down now, and just shows the overtaking potential and power that you have in these electric cars. Instant torque, plenty of power, get to the speed limit really quickly, regenerative braking on the approach to the roundabout. We've got a clear roundabout ahead, so I'm going to just ease round here and exit on power up to the speed limit of 40 miles an hour on this piece of road. Beautiful, absolutely safe, progressive, and refined power from these cars. All electric cars like this, but the i3 with its lightness, its nimbleness, and its 170 horsepower electric motor and all the torque you could ever want, all from 0 revs, is an absolutely beautiful way to drive. Well, we're off the A2 now. We're just coming up to Dartford town centre on a Saturday afternoon at 6 minutes past 4 in the afternoon, and we've got the rather predictable traffic jam, but we're very close to the car park, about a couple of hundred yards or so, and the traffic is moving ahead. So lovely relaxing drive, no vibration, no noise. You haven't got 4 woodpeckers under a bonnet bashing away at that lump of iron like you have in my other car, which makes for a very relaxing journey. And we're just going up here, and we're going to make a right at the lights into Kent Road, which is more or less opposite the Pizza Hut. And yeah, just got the lights on red here. What have we got here? Typical English town centre, B&Q warehouse, Pizza Hut. What else have we got there? Some kind of kitchen retailer and all the usual sort of sheds that you get. Having said that, the car park is only a 2-minute walk from getting a cup of coffee or a pizza, so you can't knock that. So it's in a good position. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is when we arrive at the car park, will we be able to park at one of the charging locations? There's a story there which I'll explain in a few minutes, but these chargers are brand new, and Dartford Council haven't yet put the signs up and the markings and the traffic order to ensure that people are only allowed to park at the charging stations if they have an electric car. And I've got previous experience of this car park. Anyway, here it is on the left. Let's watch what this guy in this white car is doing. And yeah, we're okay. Into the car park. Some people on roller skates here, and don't really want to run over any pedestrians today. And here we have the 3 chargers. We've got Volkswagen Passat, we've got a Mercedes E-Class from a local taxi company, all night cars or something, blocking. We've got a Range Rover blocking, another Volkswagen. But we've got a charger over here that's free, so they're not all blocked. But yeah, there's a bit of a problem with that, and I understand. I've actually written to Dartford Council about it, and they tell me the chargers are brand new. They haven't been properly advertised yet, although they've appeared on the CYC and plug share, etc. Sites. So people with electric cars have found them and are using them. But the traffic order to change the legal rules in the car park are going to be enforced, and the signs go up at the end of November. So here we go. Let's pop ourselves in here and should be ready to rock. Okay, here we are at the Westgate car park in Dartford town centre, and these are the new triple standard DBT CEV chargers, so charging electric vehicles. And these are actually a fantastic charger, short for Tesla supercharger. These are really good. Ecotricity use these chargers, but this type is the brand new triple standard type. So what you have on the right here is you have a CHAdeMO, which charges things like Nissan Leafs and the Mitsubishi 4x4, the Outlander plug-in hybrid, and various other cars. On the left here you have the DC CCS, which is the BMW i3, the Volkswagen e-up and Golf, etc. And lastly there's the standard AC charger. The AC charger will charge just about everything else. A standard Menikes type connector there, and it's actually up to 43 kilowatt. It's 3-phase 63 amp, this connector, so plenty of charge there. So you've got a Tesla with a 22 kilowatt charger in it, you can use this. If you've got a Tesla and you've got the CHAdeMO adapter, of course, you can use the right hand side and get 50 kilowatts of DC. So display panel, this is pretty similar to the Ecotricity. Display panel, the last person to use this sat here for 35 minutes, had 19.4 kilowatts of electricity. And what we're going to do is just clear that session by pressing the button here, and it will go back to the main screen. Now for this charger, I happen to know, it's not labelled up yet, but I happen to know it is actually a charger car, a CYC. So we're going to select DC CCS, which is what the BMW i3 wants. Hold the card up, wait for your authentication, and hopefully without much further ado, we've got the invitation to connect the car. So let's go around and do that. Nice and close. I parked on the correct side for this car, and we can plug the connector in, and starting to flash orange, so back around to the other side now. Just confirm that I've plugged the car in, and we're going through the vehicle synchronization, the CAN communications. It's a controller area network which runs the car, talking to the charger, telling it how much battery charge it needs, telling it the state of charge of the car, going through just a pre-charging to slowly just confirm everything's okay. It's showing that the car is actually 63% charged already, and it's slowly cranking the current up on the car, and 63%, we'll probably get to about 80 amps or so. So something about 35, 36 kilowatts, maybe a bit more, but nevertheless it's getting there. Maybe we'll go 85 amps nearly, 87, 88, 90. They go up to about 110 amps these if the car is pretty depleted, but that charge rate will be limited according to the state of charge of the car. So we got to 92 amps today. That's good for me. So we've been here charging for about 14 minutes, and the charge is up to 84%. I think we started at 65%, so we put about 20% in the 14-15 minutes we've been here. The charge current's now dropped to 24 amps at 394 volts, so we're nearing the capacity of the car. I say the car wasn't empty when you arrived by any long shot, but it gives you an idea of, even at the position where the battery is now, that we get quite a good charge rate. So I'm going to stop charging. Exactly the same procedure as Ecotricity, except it's charge your car. Right, it's now stopping charging, I've just heard the inverter switch off, the switch mode power supply switch off, and it's going to ask me to disconnect the car now. So I'm going to pop round. Disconnect the car. Try and neatly put it back together again. And it's worth just remembering just to hit the button there and go back to the main menu for the next customer. But as I say, well done Dartford Council, really pleased that we've got this local facility. Okay, so this is the charger number 3 here at Dartford Town Centre at the Westgate car park, and this is obviously the charging feeding pillar, so from the national grid. It's TT Earthed according to this, and there's just a note here to say if any of the chargers disconnected, then or the earth mat's disconnected, then the feeder pillar has to be isolated. Some technical details, but I've really got to say I'm so delighted that a council at long last, and there are a few other councils as well, are actually taking electric cars seriously. This facility in the middle of Dartford is absolutely fantastic, and really well done to the people and parking services in Dartford. Not often you can say well done to a parking services department or a council, but on this occasion, guys, you've done really, really well. Very pleased. Now, I have got a couple of gripes. I did write to the council about the lack of bay marking in terms of ensuring that these bays are only used for electric cars. As you can see, we've got 4 bays and 2 very expensive rapid chargers completely blocked with, frankly, I don't know what to say. Why do people do it? Anyway, that's going to be resolved. Dartford have written back and said by the end of November there will be a new traffic and parking order in to ensure that these bays are only for electric cars and whilst charging. Now, that's all very well, but they also told me that they're going to limit the time to 30 minutes for charging, and to be honest, 30 minutes is too short. Now, whilst the i3 with the rapid charge option, the DC rapid charge option, the CCS option, would charge to probably 80% in about 30 minutes. That's true. The problem is not all i3s, not all cars have the rapid charging option. So you'd have to use the AC option. And the AC option to a full charge on most of the current crop of sort of sub 100 mile range cars is about 3.5 hours. So 30 minutes isn't really going to do much for you. Even with DC, if you've got some of the new cars about to be launched, for example, next year's Nissan Leaf, which is going to have 150 mile range, the forthcoming Chevrolet Bolt, and obviously the Teslas as well, now these cars have got bigger batteries and need longer to charge. I mean, a Tesla on DC on one of these charging stations would take about 2.5 hours to get to 80%, from near zero to 80%. If you're looking at other vehicles such as, let's look at a Tesla which hasn't got the CHAdeMO adapter, as most Tesla owners don't actually have CHAdeMO adapters. If you haven't got a CHAdeMO adapter, then you're looking at, on the AC supply, probably about 7 hours, maybe a little bit less, or maybe a bit longer actually, even 10, probably 8, 9, 10 hours on an 11 kilowatt charger. If you've got the dual charger option, you're probably looking at 6 or 7 hours. So I don't expect Dartford to allow people to charge and park for 7 hours, but I think something around about 2 hours would be about right. 2 hours is what the motorway service areas allow you as free charging, and I think 2 hours would be better. And the other thing about 2 hours is, if I'm here for 2 hours, I could actually pop down to the shops, maybe have a meal, spend some money in the town centre. That's only positive for the businesses in Dartford. So, guys, have a rethink about that. Think about a 2 hour limit. That's what my recommendation would be. And if anybody else who has any comments, who be watching this video, have any recommendations in that respect, please put them in the comments below. I finished our charge session at the new high-speed or rapid chargers in the Westgate car park, and I'll head out. I think I need to go this way. One nice thing about the i3, it's got a fantastic turning circle, so you can make last-minute decisions like that. And out we go on my street, and out of the town centre. And oh, there's some leaf there on the left. So obviously doesn't know about the fast chargers. Or maybe he does. That's why he's in town. But anyway, great.